All right, it's 1:30. Let's begin this little show. I'd like to welcome everybody out to our meeting at our new location here at Performance Line Tool Center. Yeah. So we are also broadcasting via Zoom. So how many participants do we have thus far, Ron? 5. So welcome to the 5 people out in TV land. We have a vacancy on the board. Our safety chair has resigned, and it was made aware to me that some of you male chauvinists have made her not real comfortable. So we need to watch out the way we treat other people. We need to be kind and respectful, and if their preferences and desires are different than ours, we need to let that go. We need to we just need to be kind to everybody. And I've noticed that this language can get a little salty around here at times. I noticed there's a lot of F-bombs being thrown around. So if we could please watch our language when we're around each other, you know, if that's the way you're going to talk in your shop, fine, but we're not in our shop right now. So let's try to be gentlemen and ladies about this. I want to remind you to save the date for October 8th. Is going to be our Detroit area Woodturning Symposium. That's a Saturday. It'll be at the church. It'll be an all-day event. We plan to have 4 rotations with 4 demonstrations during each rotation, 2 before lunch. We'll have lunch, and then we'll have 2 after lunch. So just put that on your calendar and plan to attend. Next 2 weeks from now, on the Saturday the 23rd, we have the opportunity to watch Todd Raines will be a Zoom link that will be sent to you as members in good standing to participate in the demonstration. It'll be a bowl within a bowl, and it should be very interesting. So that's going to begin at noon. So from noon to 12:30, we'll have a little meeting, show and tell, gather and chit chat, whatever we want to do. And then from 12:30 to 2:30, Todd will demonstrate making the bowl within a bowl. And that meeting will be recorded, and we'll have the opportunity to watch that recording for 30 days after the demonstration. As a club, we have spent a bunch of money this past month to upgrade our audio. Where's the microphone? Instead of screaming, I should be using the microphone.
Yeah, he doesn't have the microphone. Sorry, he can hear you on Zoom.
I'm sure they probably can.
I was so happy prepared.
You're doing a good job of it. So
Turn that on, not to the speaker. Turn it on, maybe I need to turn the microphone on.
okay, now is it on? So as you can see, we bought new speakers. We bought a new computer. We have, Chuck has brought in these 3 nice lights that we forgot that we had. We now have a monitor for the demonstrator to see what is being shown up there. So we've got the audio feed from the Zoom link mixed into our, plugged into our mixer, so that during the demonstration or the show and tell or anything else, our members in Zoom should be able to participate with us. We should be able to hear them through the speakers, and as if they should be there with us. So we think we've got it all working correctly. We now have 3 cameras, the one in front pointing that I'm using right now. We have an overhead one, and we also have a tailstock one that we'll be using during Ollie's demonstration.
Mark,
Yes.
the cod reins will be 60 days afterwards.
Oh, 60 days? Okay, great. Thank you.
What was that?
So is there anything that anybody has that they want to bring up that I haven't mentioned?
What do we do financial report?
That's the next on the list is the treasurer's report. So I noticed there's a few of you standing. I brought an extra chair. So next to that red chair, next to Tim and myself, there's an empty chair there if somebody would like to use it. If not, you can
It's
stand.
$25, but they could use it. Hey, so I should probably stand here and do this.
Yeah, you can stand right there. and do
Hey,
that.
that's my old monitor from
Oh,
home.
is that where it came from?
Yep, that's my old monitor from home.
All right.
So
Didn't work.
gave it like 10 years ago,
Oh,
5 years ago when we started it. So far this year, we've taken in $393,195. Of that, $2,510 is dues. We spent $3,972.16. So we have a $777.16 loss. As Mark said, we spent a bunch of money here. $1,434.33 on video stuff and audio stuff this year. And right now we have $13,879.63 in the bank.
Found it.
Thank you.
What we need to do now is have a little talk on safety. Pardon me? Was Ray gonna do that?
Too soon.
I will do that. So it was also brought up that I should ask, do we have any new members or first-time attendees here that they would like to stand and introduce themselves?
Do this. Show the last meeting.
So some of you may have heard or seen the post on Facebook that Ray Fraze, who normally mans the store, he was messing around with his knife making, and he was drilling a hole through one of his knife handles or tangs or something, got away from him, ended up at the hospital with about 100 stitches in both hands. So we need to be careful. So I thought we'd talk about drilling and drills, safety of how to, safely drill. I typically try to use a drill press, and on mine, I have T-slots. So I have this little clamp that, I can put my piece of wood down, clamp it down, and then when I'm using the drill press, it doesn't move around. When I'm doing something that doesn't fit in there, that I want to handle on the side, what you can do is you can get one of these wooden clamps. So you can take this and put it on your drill press, or if you're using a hand drill, you can put it on your bench, and then you take a C clamp and clamp this wooden clamp onto the table of the drill press. Then you can drill, and it's not going to be moving around. So we always want to make sure that when we're using our drills, that we're thinking about safety and thinking about getting a catch and what happens when the wood starts spinning around. I'm going to try to alleviate that. Yes, Al?
Yeah, what I did with those clamps is I cut a V notch inside of it.
Okay.
Now I can take a cylinder of varying size, clamp it, and then clamp to the table.
That works too. I hadn't thought about that.
Whenever somebody asks a question or talks, or they can't hear them on the Zoom, so if you can repeat anything in this, so. Yeah.
Do we have a handheld
We
monitor?
do not, I'm sure that's yeah.
Is that coming? Okay. So Al pointed out that he's taken his wooden screw clamp and he's cut V-notches in it so that he can take a round object, put it in there, tighten it up, and it's not going to be moving around. It's going to have more points of contact. And then he turns around and clamps this clamp onto his table, table or platform of his drill press.
Hey, Mike, I have something I want to talk about that.
Okay, and then we,
Over there. No.
Al is going to speak to us.
You have to be very careful when using gloves against anything that's rotating. Okay, very, very careful. I've seen a person on a Bridgeport, which is a glorious drill press, was having a piece of sheet metal in his hand and was drilling holes in it with a glove. As soon as the drill went through and was ready to come out, it got stuck, took the piece of sheet metal out of his hand. The glove went around the chuck. It pulled the tendon all the way from here with this finger and half of this finger in the glove, still rotating. I've seen it. So please be very, very careful. So he lost the use of his hand because of that, because of the glove. That's all I can say. Thank you.
So with that, yes,
I have one more comment. Drilling out a piece of strapping, pipe strapping. I put a first hole into it. Something inside my brain said, this is not safe, but I didn't listen. And second hole I went to drill, got caught. And the piece of strapping started whipping around. And I had 25 stitches in my thumb, and virtually down to the bone here. Happened, just under the stuff. It's just bam. And yeah, what's that white thing?
so Howard was explaining that he was drilling a piece of strapping and he put in was doing it freehand. He drilled the first one in and he thought to himself, well, this isn't real safe, but he didn't listen. So then he drilled the second one in the second hole. As soon as he got it started, the drill caught, just like Alfred's example of the sheet metal. It started whipping around and cut his thumb area all the way down to the bone. He had to have 25 stitches in it, and he was amazed at how quickly it happened. So these things can happen really fast. So we all need to just stop, think about, is this the best way to do it? Am I safe? What's going to happen if it gets a catch? And then let's act accordingly. Safety is, it's always better to slow down and think about what we're doing than rush into it and then have to have our better half take us to the hospital. So with all that happy cheeriness, I'm going to turn the time over to Oli, who is going to show us how to make an oblong natural edge bowl.
I would set the mic on the lathe bed, but I think that's probably a bad idea, especially considering.
For your information, on the Facebook site, under our club name, these pictures and all the photographs and what's done today is how they use those this evening.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, first off, I'd like to tell you all that this is what happens when nobody volunteers to do the demo. You're stuck with me. The other thing is that I am a high school teacher by trade and passion. So if you ever feel like I am talking to you like you're a bunch of 16-year-olds, I probably am, but don't take any offense by it because I don't mean to. So what I'm going to talk about today is I love live edge bowls. I really love live edge bowls, which means this time of year is my favorite time of year because it is live edge bowl season, because I've collected wood from November through February and all the sap's been pulled out of it and the bark is much more likely to stay. So this is what we're aiming at. And the thing about live edge, or the thing about the oblong bowl is everybody's used to the circular out of a normal bowl, and they'll sit there and say, okay, that makes sense. Lathe goes in circles, things like that. But when you get them out with the oblong bowl and you show them to somebody who's not a turner, they're like, nah, that's not on a lathe. We actually had at a show, somebody argue with us that I couldn't have turned this on a lathe because it's oval. The key here to think about this is the fact that it's all about the concentric circles. When you're up here, you're turning a circle like this. But when you're down here, you're turning a circle like this. And so you really are moving in a circle, and it's easy to show you on the piece. Up here, you're turning in a circle, but inside, you're turning in a much smaller circle, creating a circle in here, thereby making this longer and this direction much, much shorter. So that's the goal. And I have another, you can see they can get to be large. I have the biggest I've done is the biggest my lathe can handle, which is about, I've done a 20-inch in the long axis before. My choice to mount is the big bite. These are one ways. I don't know whether you guys know big bites or not. I'm assuming you do, but it just goes, and not a long time ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when I started turning, went to a certain vendor and I said, hey, I want to learn how to turn bowls. What truck do I need? And they said, oh, get a G3. And I was, because that's what they sold. And I was like, okay, I'll get a G3. And then I started hanging out with more and more turners, and I was, why are you using Nova? Well, I'd already bought everything Nova, so I'm stuck with it. But the big bite is, of course, one way, and thankfully it fits in a Nova truck. So this is the piece of wood I selected. It's actually the mirror image of this one. So, and I put 2 friends of this on the raffle table. So make sure you go buy raffle tickets so you can do your President's Challenge, assuming this is your President's Challenge. Okay. Okay. And so what I was taught to do is I cut a little bit out here. Or can you see it? Okay, I cut a little bit out here with the bandsaw. I'm actually in the process of getting what's an arbor tech. I don't know if you guys know what an arbor tech is, but that's actually more effective than the bandsaw. And so, yes. Oh. Well, when we were talking about safety, I was going to talk about the time I caught my beard in a drill, in a hand drill, but then I figured, no, that's too embarrassing. Oh, look, I just told you about it anyway. Okay, you have to start off this process with a question. Do you want a perfectly symmetrical one? Do you want one where one edge is higher than the other? Do you want one that's off balance? These are meant to be eye catchers. Okay, you're not going to eat a bowl of soup out of this. And so what you have to do is, I do it both ways. If I'm doing a big live edge bowl, sometimes I deliberately tilt it a little bit like this so that I have one edge be higher than the other edge. And then when one of the people who are using it or buy it or whatever, they can put their whatever they want to put in there, and it's sort of more of a display so they can see it. Now, as a rule, you're not going to put this on here so that the log is this edge is perpendicular. You can put it so that the line from here to here is perpendicular. Okay, because these are the points that are going to show. This will turn flat for you. So when you're putting this in, and once you get the big bite perpendicular to the grain, if at all possible, I sometimes do it the other way, but I not often. But you would put it in here, and in this case, what I do is, if I'm doing a true center, I will mark the center. I did it on this one, but you can see how I have checked it, and I'm going to be happy with that because I'm in interest of time. And I'm going to pull this in, and then I'm going to check it again. This point and this point seems safe. That seems to be in that middle. We're in the middle there. And we will turn it. We'll turn it tight. And once again, I'm waiting for the big bite to bite in. And so, thank you, Alfred. Okay, so we're going to be, and it looks like it held it fairly well. Check it, and then I'm going to, okay, so we're going to do the quick check here. It's not quite centered, but it'll come out pretty nicely anyway. So, yes, this is Ellen. I'll do another shameless plug. I got this at the store from Ray, and I love it. I do have to clean it better than I do. Go off. Okay. Now I also have. So I've sharpened all the tools. What?
It's on low.
How do I? Where's the? Oh, there's the dial.
Yeah,
So
but
it's all
turn
the way
it
down?
all the way down.
Yeah.
You clear?
Yep. Okay. Okay. And once again, speed is your friend, but safe speed is more your friend. So these little pieces of wood, that's good. So once again, and you guys know how to round a bowl, but you're only rounding the ends, okay? So you're only rounding the ends. And I hold overhand. I know a lot of people hold underhand. I did take this to a bandsaw a little bit before to knock the corners off. Okay, so
What belt are you on?
You're on the low gear.
Really?
Yeah.
that's,
You want it,
no, I just don't want it to bog down. It should be on the low.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, it's on the low.
Yeah, it's on the low.
It's on the low. And I just sharpened this gouge before I came. So you can see that's what I'm looking for right there, but you can see I'm also way off center. So that's what happens when you rush it. But let's see. So we'll I'm really listening for the double tap. Okay, at the very edge, I tend to tilt it at a 45 into the edge, just so it doesn't have that extra pressure off the Okay, I'm getting there. Sorry, this is not going as fast as I pictured it would.
It's a live demo, what do you expect?
True. So we're gonna hit double tap now. Means I'm into the second, the other side. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna lift. My lathe at home is 3 horsepower, so I'm probably just being too aggressive.
Trying,
Oh,
the motor rate is hell with everything up here.
you want me to stop for a second?
Apparently, we gotta move this table a little further away from the motor.
Okay, so I'm almost there. Okay, so that should do it. Yep, okay. So now the question is, what do we want to do? Well, the first thing I'm looking at here is I've got a little bit of a pith here. And you know what that does? It just piths you off. You haven't heard that one before? Oh my God. Okay. I'll be here all week. Okay. What I like to do is I like to just get, I'm going to take this down, but what I want to figure out, I want to do is, do I want this to be rolled up like this or sort of flat? And so that's going to determine how I curve this. But before I do any of that, I'm going to get my tenon on here. So I'm going to flatten this out, get my tenon on here, and then I'll start shaping the bowl. So. I want to go to the point where my that bounces out. So now, I normally wear gloves when I do this because it beats up my hands. But after Alfred's description there, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Anything going around, never got it right. Why do you need a glove? If you turn your tool so that the chips get away from you.
Okay, so just want to get this bounce out of there. Sorry. I blame it on my wife, but she's here. Okay, so gonna make my tenon big. See, all that out there is gonna turn off. One more. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use a second chuck for this. Hey, it's the G3 in question. I need to take,
Hey, or there's another chuck in the box.
is there another microphone? Okay. Okay, so I think that will be fine. Now, I was always taught to use a spindle gouge to put a slight taper on the tenon. I don't know what everybody else is taught, but what? It does. This one does, and that one does. It's not the G3. It's the Jaws. They make some without dovetails. And mainly I use this, not the taper is a nice thing, but my bowl gouge does a pretty good job with the taper. I use it to get that crisp little seal.
We're on this camera, right? Or the overhead? Is there any way we can adjust it so that the picture on TV moves up?
What do you mean?
Now put it back on the overhead. Maybe. Yeah, like that.
Okay, so like I said, what I do is I just follow this in and I come in close and give myself a little hair cutting area. And so I come in like this, I come along, I come down, and I cut the edge there, and then I pull it back to make that flat spot where the chuck jaws can sit. So once again, it's probably not news to anybody else, but I thought I'd say it. So now we shape. And everything seems to be happy-go-lucky. Everybody knows the Turner's dance? Well, that's what we're doing now. So get your dancing shoes on. Now I'm going to try to go a little bit faster. Okay. So I'm going to come in here, and because I'm trying to be aggressive to take off wood, I come in at about a 45-degree angle right on my the lip of the bevel. Then I take a little bit. I think it's chipped on you. Sorry about my phone.
So at what point are you going to start worrying about ripping the
Well, I'm not going very close to this bark, which is the one that most commonly rips off. This bark, I will start to worry about that in a little bit, but because this is going to be rough turn, because we're not going to finish turn it today, I'm going to leave a chunk here, and then when I finish turn it, I will lower my bevel, or not my bevel, close up my flute more, and then I'll start to, well, I mean, like Alfred was saying, you're going to start shear cutting on this, okay? But I wasn't going to worry about that right now because I wanted to get the shape first, and then because you can feel this, there's no finishing this today. I mean, it's throwing water everywhere, which actually you're gonna.
When somebody asked a question, could you repeat it?
Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, what time do I start worrying about the bark? So you guys have all heard my answer, but there is, like, this one came out right. Can I get that camera? Yeah, you can see right here, there's a bit of a tear out of bark. I'm not worried about that because I think that it's going to come out. And I have been known to pull out a pair of scissors and cut off fuzzies. Okay, I have been known to do that. I'm not going to do it today because I didn't bring scissors. Now, the other thing I want to check here is I'm looking at this. My big bite's moved because the wood's wet and it's begun to compress. And so I'm going to tighten this a little bit more to get another bite in on the big bite. Okay. And so now it's dug in nice and deep again. And so I'm going to do, my goal here is I'm going to just take a little bit more off. And then even this out so that when it becomes dry, and elm dries, like you put this in a dry area, elm dries really fast compared to say like walnut or cherry or maple. But it dries really fast. I mean, when we get over, you guys can see these were turned 2 weeks ago, and you can already see how dry they've become. So anyway, did that answer your question, or did I not answer it and manage to dodge it? Okay.
We have a chat question too. What RPM are you turning it?
Well, right now I'm turning at about 500, but I will turn that speed as high as I can go without being unsafe. So I don't want chatter. I don't want the lathe walking around and doing all sorts of strange things. So that's why I'm at 500. If I were turning this on I don't know, if the lathe was bolted to the ground or something, maybe I'd be able to get it a little bit faster. But as this loses mass, I'll turn up a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So does that answer what was that? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit closer with the tool rest, and I will turn this up. See, right there is 550. So I'm going to come in here, and you do have to fight a little bit of bounce because you're going from wood contact to air, and so you do have to write a bit of wood contact. Now, I am not scraping at this point because my bevel is at 45, okay, as opposed to the, so I'm still not scraping, I'm cutting, and I'm cutting with that little lump right there on the bevel. Can you see it? Okay, so, and I think we're going to do this in interest of expediency. Okay, then I usually come back to get the shape consistent. And this is a little bit more, this is like a 30-degree angle. And it's just there to get that last little bit off the edge that comes up. And so you can see that piece that tore out is almost gone. It will come out when I finish it. And you can see it's not perfect. I would like this to curve a little bit more. I think I want to take this in a little bit deeper. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave that until I finish turn it. The reason is because when I finish turn it, I want as many possibilities as I can get. Because Lord only knows what this piece of wood's gonna do over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, months. Okay, so I wanna leave as much potential there as far as shape is concerned. Now, that doesn't mean I'm gonna leave a ton of wood. I just want to leave the potential for shape. I'm only gonna leave, I mean, what do I leave? About an inch of wood. If this were walnut, I'd probably leave it a little bit more than that because walnut moves more. If it were apple, oh my God. I turn it to finish and hope and pray because apple moves so much. So, but elm is, like I said, elm is wonderful. It dries quickly and it's, knock on wood, very stable. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. I'm going to call this, what's wrong? Oh. Well, my wife always says that I have a hardwood skull. Okay, so, and you can see, we really have that big bite in there. Okay, now. Okay, so how do you lock this in?
You put that knob, that black knob.
This back? This?
Yeah, you got it.
Someday I'm going to upgrade to one-ways, Talon and above. But until then. Okay, so now, hopefully I got this small enough. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay,
Too small?
too big. Or the jaws are too small.
Right, those are 50 underneath.
Yeah. So I brought extra jaws. Okay, and as you all know, you want your shoulders sitting tight against the wood because that's where your support comes in. Everything I've learned is that most of your support comes from this contact point where the flat of the truck jaws meets the wood. And the tenon just supports that process. Because if you think about it, when it has to turn, the first thing it has to do is indent. It has to move at the flat. So if it's going to turn to pull out, it's got to turn and against the flat part. Okay. Okay. So now okay. Now what I do, and now I have, a friend of mine once said this to me and I took it to heart, is that when you're turning the inside of a bowl, do the finish cut first. Okay? Because that way you don't keep coming back to it. Now, I don't always do that. But what I do like to do is have the cut that goes like this more often than the cut that goes like this. Does that make sense? So I'm going to come in like this, turn it slightly, and I'm probably going to be at about 1.25 inches, knowing that I want to leave 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to slowly put what I hope will be a fairly curved contour to that bowl. And as I happen, I'm gonna get a mound here in the middle. And when I get a little bit of a mound that gets in my way, I'll go through and then I'll hog out. And then I'll go back and do it again, and then I'll hog out again. Okay, so I repeat that process. Thereby, I am not pulling, I am never, ever, 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 until the very end, pulling from here to my edge. The reason is I've actually, doing that, I have accidentally had catches, and I have literally bent a tool rest with the catch. Not a robust tool rest for those of you who bought robust. But that's one of the reasons to do it. Now, I have gotten better and I'm a little bit braver with it, but I still maintain that whole thing where if I'm hogging, I don't ever want to get close to my edge. So I set it where I want it with what I'm going to put that in quotes, the finish cut, and then I'll hog when it becomes too difficult to do the finish cut. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. You need me to move it somehow?
You bumped the camera over.
It's okay. We're looking this,
So the overhead's off right now.
the overhead.
Is that the overhead?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Like that? There you go. Okay. Okay. So like I said, now here's where, actually, let me slow this down. Here's where it gets interesting, is because you're cutting here, but then you're cutting here. There's nothing there. And so you have to be ready for that double hit, because you're going to be cutting. Oh, I'm cutting. Oh, yeah, I'm cutting. Oh, whoa, what's happening? Oh, I'm cutting. Oh, I mean, you get the idea of what's going on here. So you got to be ready for that. There's 6:30. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, and once again, this is the way I've learned how to do it. So if I'm doing it wrong, please tell me after the meeting. But here I am. I'm cutting. I'm going to bark right now. I pull away a little bit, and then I let the flat come back, and I'm okay. And now I have a huge advantage with these, is that I am taller than, I'll say, my wife, and I can look down at the ghost and see where I am. And you can see the bounce that you get from the contact and the lack of contact. Now I can tell you right now that I'm going to take another swing at this once it's hollowed, because it is way thicker than I want it to be. Okay, so now you can see that's all I've done in that little bit. That's all I've done, because I've come up here and I'm cutting air. But I will, because this, once it gets into a V like this, it's harder and harder and harder to keep this coming down without just cutting too much wood at one time. And so now I am going to very carefully start at the center, hog out, but never go to my rim. Okay, that's what I do. That's what. Okay, so thank you. Now I am not the fastest turner in the world. Okay, you can see I hit the. Okay, but you see how, I mean, you can see what I did. Mark, did you have a question? Oh, okay. Sorry. As a teacher, I'm constantly supposed to ask kids if they have questions. So I try to read the crowd. Okay, so. You know what I did? I went all the way out. Nope.
Still there.
I told
I
you the
am.
monitor was in danger.
That's why I took the picture.
I usually use this.
Well, I'm coming in. That's why if I'm doing like a normal bowl, I would.
And it's wet because it's wet, it compresses a lot.
Yes, and that was my carelessness. I should have been, every time I stopped that lathe to say something to you, I should have been tightening the. But like I said, when nobody volunteers to do a demo at the class, this is what you get.
You're doing great.
Only though it's a live demo.
Okay, the other thing is I'm gonna turn this in a little bit. Okay, but I'm satisfied, but you can actually see, can you go to this camera? You can actually see where I bit by accident. And that's why I don't go, that's why I do it the way I do it. Now I'm an excellent example, and that was completely planned and scripted just to show you why I do it. Okay. Oh, you have little faith. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to the finish edge. I come into that, close, open a little bit. Close. So all I'm doing here is I'm making, that was just a relief cut. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna look at it, where are we? Okay, if I want this to come around here, so I need to start really, actually, you can't see what I'm pointing at. I'm right here. I want to end up right about there. And as you can see, I don't have much more space to work with. So I'm really going to start flattening this out here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to take this piece off. And then I got to start, and I think it's important in the wet wood to still get your transition close, because that'll make your life much easier in the dry wood. Because I don't know about you all, but I have a much better time turning wet wood than dry wood as far as getting the fundamental look of what I want. So the less work I can do there, like once it's there, I can shear cut and scrape and whatever I want to do. But if it's not there when I come back dry, then I have to start shaping the inside. And I don't like that. It's not fun. And it's supposed to be fun. Okay. So, for giggles and giggles. Okay. So I'm gonna go in again. Does somebody have a question? No? Okay. You guys bored yet? I added a little bit of excitement when I threw a piece of wood. What? Okay, so once again, I'm just hogging out the center. And yeah, this wood is just throwing water everywhere. Now, one of the things I do when I get close, see how I'm getting close to where I pull all the way to the edge? Just to avoid what just happened, I take, is this one? I take my, what?
Look at your monitor to see where you are. Then you can position your.
Okay,
You want me to change them?
no, that's fine. I'm cutting like this, but as I finish, I roll it closed. So it doesn't, so, I mean, it's just an added safety against catching on that outside edge. Okay, so, good with that. Okay, once again, I'll come in. And now I'm really turning to get that transition to where I want it. And this is, I think, where people disagree on how to do this. So I come in, my bevel on my on the point of my bowl gouge is about 42 degrees. So it makes it really hard to do bottom feeding on it. So what I actually do is I'll hog out this, and then I actually scrape it to get the final transition, because I don't know, I've never made a bottom feeder. So now I'm going to go back. What?
Looking in the truck.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. Excellent idea.
I always tighten both sides of the chuck.
Okay. Okay, so okay, now I'm going to check, see where I am. Okay, so I'm about where, if you look at it, this is about right. So all I'm going to do now is take a little bit more out of the center here, and then I'm going to go back and do what hopefully will be the final wet wood cut. Okay, does that? Okay. Okay, so it's pretty close. I'm not happy with it because I've made this too flat here, but that's the benefit of it being rough turn, is that I'm gonna do a little bit more work on this. But I'm gonna use what I do with the wet wood. I don't do this with dry wood, but I do it with wet wood, is I use the gouge, for lack of a better term, as a scraper. It seems to work better than a true scraper. It also seems to be less dangerous because the scraper, for some reason, seems to catch much more. Okay, so no worries. Okay, so what I do, I come in here, is I look at, and I'm closed. I'm completely closed. I come in here, touch where I want to start, turn just ever so little, and do a scrape along that. And I do that. This will probably require three times. Okay. So there, that transition is better for me. It's still got some junk. See this one. Oh, you can't see it. Okay. I don't know if you can see it on the monitor, but there's still some problem here on it. But I'm going to now take my finish cut to see how much of that I can get rid of. Okay. Now, having said that, sharp tool for the finish cut. Always use a sharp tool for the finish cut. So. Okay. I'll just turn it. Okay. Now I said about an inch that I want, and that's at the top edge. The bottom, the inside, this down here, if it, as it were, would be probably a little bit longer, if you a little bit wider, because of the slant of it, or the curve. Okay, so we're going to come in here. And once again, I have an advantage because I am tall enough to see through the ghost. Okay, once again, now here at this transition. So I'm going to transition. Okay, and hopefully, yeah, it's not done, but my goal wasn't finished. My goal was ready to dry. So, I mean, it's not. So hopefully anybody have any questions? Please, Zoom. Have any questions on Zoom? For elm, I have a room in my basement which has a dehumidifier. Typically what I do is I wrap a layer of saran wrap around the end grain and I let it dry because the water escapes faster through the end grain than the side grain. And so if I stop it from escaping the side grain, the only place it has to escape is the end grain. And so what that allows for is a much slower dry, which sucks because it's a slower dry. But I've done saran wrap, I've done what's it called, the wax, the anchor seal. I've done anchor seal. I've done a million things. The saran wrap has been the most effective in keeping the bowls whole. It's the slowest by far. So it depends on what you want to talk about. I have bowls in my basement, which I'm about to start turning, but they've been there for a year and a half. Okay, so I mean, I have a moisture meter. No, I never. I have. Well, one of the reasons is because I have. Nance, what do you think? 30 bowls that need to be finished turned. Yeah, I probably have 30 bowls that need to be finished turned in my basement, and I'm adding more. I'm a big one. I love turning wet wood. And so I'm sitting there looking at, well, I can finish that bowl. Ooh, I had a new log. But no, I don't use the chips because I mean, getting a plastic bag, putting the chips in, I understand creating a consistent environment, but it's all about controlling the wood, the water's exit of the wood is what all of those things are trying to do. So.
Can they use carbide?
Yes, you can. Can you use carbide was the question. You can. My first one was done. My first live edge bowl was done with a carbide. I used the circle, the circle tool for most part. The only difference I find is I have a lot more sanding than I do with high-speed steel. Because I can't get that. I don't have a shear scrape really ability. I can turn my carbide tool a little bit to get a sort of a scrape, but it's already a scraper is what it. Oh, I didn't know that. That would be cool. So. I'm glad you asked that. Oh, how do you mount that? Everybody know what these are? This is a rubber truckee. What? I have a bunch of these at home. I think I have all the sizes now, and I just chose the biggest one for the sake. This would go in here. This would come on, and the off because I'm done with that. Right. I have that hole, and I basically, it is like this. Oh, so I take my rubber truckee, I put it in there, and if I need a smaller one, I have a smaller one. If I need a tiny one, I have a tiny one. I believe this is the biggest they come, but I do this. I used to use a mouse pad with a chuck, but I was leaving marks on the wood, even with the mouse pad. And so I stopped doing it, and somebody talked about these, I think at one of these meetings, I think. And I said, ooh, and in my normal status, I had to have them all. And so I think I got them all in like 3 purchases, but the 3 purchases were like within a month of each other. But yeah, so that's how I would finish it, is I would go back here, I'd rubber truckee on here, I'd retrue all of this, flip it back over, get it to the width I want. And now just something to remember about these. I know as turners, we were all taught that thin is really, really good. The people who buy these, and I've sold a whole chunk of these, like to see the substance. They want that bark. Now, I'm not saying this is too thick, but 5/8 of an inch, they're all over that. I mean, yeah, we can get it down to 1/8 of an inch, but those don't attract the attention that the bigger, heavier duty ones go for. So I mean, I'm not a salesman by nature, but it is sellable. People do like it. And remember, the big craze in furniture right now is what? Yeah, is rustic. And so that's not why I turn them. I turn them because I love them, but they do sell. So
a few minutes ago, somebody mentioned, I think, a different carbide tool, and you said, oh, that was cool. That would be cool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Zoom keyboard, no.
They, I'm sorry. They mentioned that there's a negative rake scraper available for carbide tools now. And I thought that was cool. I'd never heard of that. Anybody else? Okay, thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
So at this point, I don't want your hat. At this point, we're going to take a break, but it was brought to my attention that I neglected to mention that the club has 2 mentors that are eagerly waiting somebody to call them up so that they can help them improve their skills. One of them is here today, Paul Zirkel, and the other is Chris Miller. Look in the in our website, and you can, under the club info, you'll find their names. Give them a call, set up something that works between the 2 of you, and go to town. We also want to thank Jason from Performance Tools for letting us use this space. It seems to be working out pretty good. So at this point, we're going to take a break. You can mingle and make sure everybody that brought items for the President's Challenge, the tea lights, gets one of the tickets so that we don't have an incident when we try to pick the winner this time. And we'll get back together in about 10 or 15 minutes. See you then. It was off
I
anyway.
need my home plate dust off. That camera's not.
Yeah, it's,
Anytime there's somebody leans over that.
yeah, it really needs to be over here. So you're getting the down view,
Yeah.
because you got this one there.
Either that or move it to the outside of the rail.
Maybe.
We can move it around.
Yeah, we can play with it.
I don't think so. She had a hard time hearing me. That's their microphone, and we just put their face mask down. And so I'm not sure if we can figure out how to tie in that microphone into the Zoom. That's what I was messing around with. Take the screen up. Yeah, we did try that yesterday. I realized I left the motors 2 feet away from everything over there.
It wasn't bad once you got it turned up a little bit.
Yeah, we just had to tell our demonstrators we can't be in this range for the art.
Okay, put it on the overhead, so we, yeah, that looks much better there. What you think?
Yeah, I think so. As long as-
We have to
yeah.
figure out how to get this chat out of here, or at least move it to the bottom.
No, I put
corner.
that down on purpose.
Oh, okay, good.
The method.
You think this needs to be over here more?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah.
You mean this side? So you think this is where it needs to be?
They would never lean over.
I wouldn't think he would lean over like that.
Ollie's the only one that's ever gonna,
Yeah.
maybe
We have to have
with the
a,
mask on it.
you can't be above this line.
Yeah.
I use this tool, you can't give it this call.
I was saying, I'll never do that. I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, I think this one should be up a little higher, you know, pointing down here.
Yeah, that one, I would like that to be closer.
Well, maybe if we get one of those
It's kind of a gray
articulating
camera
arms,
anyway, so-
if we get one of these articulating arms,
Honestly, it was.
or one of
better
those
than we
flexible
had.
arms.
Sounds good.
We need a roving microphone.
Yeah, other than the feedback, everything was great.
We,
Video wise and lighting wise.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I think we do need to get a portable handheld mic to pass around for questions.
Glenn says the top view.
Yeah, Glenn. He's like, I didn't get your
I had to
email.
mute his microphone.
I had to like text him the Zoom link.
Michelle gets on and says, would you be Glenn's microphone?
So this is a horse and a half, huh? How come this one bogs down so much more than my one way? That's a a 1.5 horse.
Probably got a 3 horse.
No, I got a 1.5. Yeah, I got a one way that I bought 25 years ago, and all they had was.
Like mine is only 1.25.
Pardon me?
Mine is a 1.25. Doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know what, I don't like
the
this
lower
way.
speed belt, then we'll have a little more torque, because that's the
That's what
low
they're-
end.
But they said they were on the lower
Oh, yeah.
speed.
Maybe the belt is loose,
Maybe.
and it's just the belt is slipping.
That might be. Still.
Oh, okay, that's.
But you can't push it down anymore.
Ron, are you gonna be the camera guy?
He's the default.
Well, constructive
If
criticism?
you bitch, you have to be the camera.
No, well, see, that's the thing about it. But you know, the thing about it is people bitch about the raffle table and I don't
Well, I
give
never
it up.
That's what it is.
No, the thing about it was, what I was noticing back there was, like, right now you
We're on.
have this guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of, it seems far.
Yeah, that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
we
got
gotta-
a little zoom.
But no, that's
The
just,
reason why we moved this camera here is for the simple reason that as soon as you're gonna put your helmet, it's gonna cover it.
Yeah.
We just moved that.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we moved it here. But what I think we need to do, instead of leaving it from here, we would come
I
from
think
here.
this was usually further out. wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we have it here.
I think we probably need to move this forward that way
Yeah.
in our setup.
Yeah.
But no, it
I
was,
mean, we're learning.
Here,
Our
here,
biggest problem
here,
is
we,
when
this
we
camera,
come talking to
if we put it here and a bit farther back,
Get that down.
the person won't get his head in it.
Right,
right, because
right.
that's what happens.
That's what happens, yeah.
And then like this camera here, see, it's on there right now.
Yeah.
Three
It's
hours.
actually, this camera should definitely be here, or else it should be closer.
Yeah, it needs to be closer because,
Yeah, I think we need to think about telephoto or something. I don't know if they
That
do
you
that.
cannot get this, it will be very expensive to get a camera.
Is it? I don't
Very
know.
expensive.
so you just get it closer.
It's over 600.
Or put a head cam
Well,
on.
forget that.
I was actually thinking of that. He needs to.
Oh, yeah, let's
What?
make everybody sick.
Oh, yeah. You guys having fun?
Watching the thing and heads
But
bouncing.
like here, right now, look how close it is. I think that would be perfect.
See,
We'll get
Alfred,
here.
that one I like on the other side because the tool is usually in that
Right,
But the
side.
problem is the guy's head is in the way.
Yeah, you get.
or girl, you gotta,
Well, yeah, but
You gotta
that's
sit.
when the, when it goes in there. I don't know if your head will be in the way.
We just moved it there, yeah.
You,
I don't
it
know.
wasn't me.
Some people turn
I-
directly right,
Actually,
but I'm always off to the side.
I know. I
It's
already,
like you're
I
turning something.
I know who.
I wasn't that.
Told us about that.
Yeah, I was worried about that,
There was nothing like that.
but you know, like, good, good.
But, I don't know if we had, did we have enough sound from the speakers coming back?
No,
Oh, I can turn that up.
yeah.
Yeah, it looked-
Well, it was,
It's touching.
but see, the thing about it is when he had his mask on, but then it made it, it wasn't blaring. It wasn't,
It was.
it-
What I
it
think
made
we
it
need to
sound
do Also
normal.
with this, we need to, get the wires together so that it's not hanging all the way down like that, it gets covered over.
Or they
We
need to
just
go
make-
up under their shirt.
Right, and,
Yeah.
and use duct tape.
On their chest.
You are the wire.
That will just permanently stay there, like, if we're not ripping that off.
That'd be tough.
You know,
But I think it worked good.
I know we have,
First run.
just so I'll write it down. Did you know what might be,
I know, you don't think
I've listed some questions, what may be a good demonstration? And I'm talking with people are,
No, the
how to
cable.
hold things.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got all the cords on,
Because,
yeah.
you know, you got
I don't know.
vacuum
What was
truck.
that?
Yeah.
Like somebody was asking,
I didn't like
all
it
right, so you're
rained
gonna true this back up again, right? Well, how do you,
Yeah, and.
this is what you gotta true up, how do you hold this?
You jam it.
I know, but
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people know.
there's a bunch of, that's a question that I've been hearing a lot.
Although I probably would be better if I could,
And that might be a good demonstration
Yeah.
of just how many different ways can you hold
Different
it?
ways of holding on the leg.
Because,
Yeah.
well, this would be nice to have. But,
You see that also with that, it depends on the curvature on the inside of whatever it is. Because, yeah.
well, just the fact, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Because it shouldn't be holding on the outside, it should be holding on the middle, because the pressure should be like this, or,
Right, right.
you know, because you're holding it like that, you don't want to twist it.
See, now that I look at, this is the one he was doing this one.
I think so, yeah.
See, back there on the camera and stuff, this looked a lot smaller. We're like, well, he's gonna be throwing that one. So that would be another thing.
Okay, we have a size, we have a height limit now for demos.
I'm too tall?
Yeah,
Too
you're
tall?
killing the camera.
I never, hey, I never had that problem.
That's a break.
Yeah, it's,
That one, that's.
yeah, maybe on the other side.
Okay.
But other than that, it's nice.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
See, I
It
put,
works
I
really
put
good.
a 50 to 55-degree angle on that. That's what I normally use.
Oh, it is.
I think it helped because he noticed right away every time he was on the camera.
I have one at home. I don't have.
They were
This one,
talking
like
about
my
having
arm
that
with
button.
Somebody's tall seat.
Yeah.
I don't want
What we
to.
were thinking is this camera.
Does this mean I'm no longer eligible to be a demo?
So it won't be everybody goes
No,
like that.
actually,
You're so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Instead of leaving it
This
here,
time though, we're going to,
Next
yeah, we're gonna put this here. And by that, his head never comes in play.
You know, there's no reason why you can't.
And also this one, the tail one,
So relative distance.
we used to almost have that camera like right here, wasn't it? I remember.
We hit it, so we could zoom it. It was up there.
Yeah.
and this one.
And I was rolling it out, so you can actually see where my roll stops.
Okay, now we're gonna really find out the,
So this is the first time we're doing this. So,
really.
One of the ways that I do it, I mean, I come in like this. and come out like this.
Well, that's what I have started to do, is that I'm not as afraid, like I said, when I first of all, I was doing that thing because it seemed to make sense to do it that
Oh,
way.
that's gonna die.
And
That's gonna
I
die.
was throwing wood all
How's it
over
gonna
the
die?
because I was open too far.
Can you put this camera on?
Right, but I finally got that figured out, and I'm still a little nervous about
See
it.
that? I
But
mean,
yeah,
that's a
I
lot
just,
closer
I
than
basically
what-
come in closed, open it until I get a
Always
light.
got, you can come in here, you can come in like this, close like this,
That's why we got
or you can come in like this, and start shearing here.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
little,
Jeff, I usually come in like this until I'm in.
But temporarily for today, instead of
And then
leaving
I
it
will
here,
go
the way it
across
is,
the bottom, right
it's too far away,
Okay.
like that. How close it is.
So,
see, this would have been nicer to see this shot.
and get it, if you're coming in like
And with
this.
that pad,
That's a
one
really good
over there,
shot.
instead
Yeah,
of
but
leaving it there,
that's gonna throw, well,
because
for me,
the
that's
helmet
throw.
always covers it.
No,
I think we
you
should
don't
put
take
it
the
here
time to take
on
the
this side,
like,
protect it.
So what I'm doing is I'll start out.
You got all this
I'm
one?
here.
We talked about that extensively.
That's right, and I'm rolling it as I'm.
Yeah, but it's nice because he knows immediately he's on the wrong camera.
And then I'll lightly pull it out like this.
We were
What you're
discussing,
doing-
would leave it here or a bit on
And
the
then
side.
just a little bit out of the direction it
We put
becomes
our
off.
oldest monitor over there.
And never recognize that anybody turns the speed. It makes it
Next.
tough to-
So I don't know if the people that, how they were feeling.
Then you can take a lot of very light cuts.
I was watching it, it was,
Look okay.
Right. I
yeah,
just-
oh yeah, like I said though,
Yeah, I
it
just
would have
didn't
been
want this thing
nicer if this
walking
camera was
away. I was also-
closer.
If I was.
It would
if it was
change-
in
oh,
my
yeah, it
shop,
was-
I would have been probably close to 700.
Yeah.
700. Yeah. that's-
Yeah, but this, I mean, you're right, this does work, and I have certainly done it also. So, I do it, and if you're having trouble following the battle, if you go, if you get out there.
Yeah, we used to be out
See, then you
there.
can-
An hour and a half to get it to roll.
They don't listen to me about moving towards east side of Detroit.
Yeah, us Oxford guys appreciate that. We already got to drive an hour for these.
I like the,
It's fine, while you're down there.
I like the fact that we got our, I like the board meetings on Zoom. I don't know, drive
In
out.
reality, I'm a new, I mean, I have no business being out here.
Never making your meeting.
You
just can't get the
in ways that you understand, the price is higher.
Yeah.
Hey, any of you guys looking for a new dust collector bag?
I just put a cyclone in, build my own cyclone system. Huh?
I love that.
well,
I have two of them,
that's-
one for my wife and one
See
for
my sister. Nice.
Did you buy it for the cone? No,
About
she
the
just-
cone, that's the only thing.
there have been many times
That's the
where we've
cost.
both
right
been
there.
using it at the same time.
Yeah, I have one.
Oh, yeah,
Those
there you
are-
go.
Yes.
That big one is pretty good.
I put it
I
on my
have one.
wish
You
list.
got a garbage can, I had to buy a garbage can.
You can have it. You can make one.
I made a clamping lid.
You're only like.
Well, I have a dust collector right now. Use that motor.
I have two dust collectors. One is so loud, I don't know, it's so loud. It's like, I can't hear it. I'm deaf. I just love the
Oh.
dust going.
So if you get a shit, you can do it more shallow. Okay.
Good, how are you?
People when they're doing natural crash.
Oh,
See your profile, yeah, they're fairly deep, right? Yeah. And that's fine. But everybody does it. Okay. But if you come across the bark like this.
It's nice to sort of be back to normal.
There's a lot of bark here.
All right, I have the piping I bought.
Well, like actually, the quick transition here, the steep transition.
See that?
You get it.
I took the dust collector.
What is the filter on your,
That's,
that's the normal one?
no, no, I bought, I used to,
So
this
that's a
used to be
slightly
on the
different
top,
way of doing it.
right? So this is my old dust collector.
So, okay,
What I did was, is I took, this used to be on top and the bag used to be on the
Can I borrow you
bottom.
for a second?
Wow.
Sure, we.
I took, that's a 1 micron.
Okay, so I
So I
would
put that
come
in the
like
bottom,
this, like, I
And
mean,
then
yeah,
this is
I
the
don't,
suction of it,
do I
right?
approach it with the
I
wing
threw that in the top of the cycle.
or the?
Goes in the garbage can. And the garbage can sits on a little pedestal too. It's off the ground.
Oh, so like a shear.
Right, and then I have, these clamps here,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and you can't see
Does
it.
it come with this black?
Yes.
So that's
Right.
part of it?
Yes.
That's another way of doing it.
Yeah.
I need one of those. Because mine,
So this
will
is
find
this is
dust
what
goes
we're
through the
talking
back.
about.
Right, those are,
Mine.
well, those,
Yeah,
like, that's what
stretched
he's trying to
out.
sell, those are 5 microns. 5 or 6. But yeah, it's a skills, and that's not a full-size garbage can, right? I like it on the stand, you can't tell, but there's like bungee cords. And there's,
Yeah, exactly. And you got more of it.
so what I do is when I go down to the garbage can, I bring the bungee cord down, and it hooks onto the wooden piece. And
Yeah, I
I also,
definitely
I pop these.
Different than
It
you.
goes,
Oh, I'm
and then
sorry.
the garbage can-
That's one of the things.
Yeah, no, but time,
It's not
right?
done yet, but
But that is, that really,
that was.
See, I don't do those.
I need
full
one of those
haircuts like you do on the
the
inside.
filter thing.
Yeah, I'm always going this way.
And
No, I was just
the-
telling them that I
the
do
cycle,
pull, I do
I'm
pull
only
cuts.
getting
Yeah, I don't.
Into the bag.
into that.
That's education.
Yeah, I haven't
Just the way
taken,
we've learned.
I'm
Gotten
running
used
this,
to
I'm
doing
gonna do it.
Yep,
They both work.
And I have,
And then I'm
I
gonna
have
pull it
done
off.
some of those
clean
where
like that,
I
yeah.
cut the way,
And if you notice,
you cut from the rim into the side.
right, how much
and
it
then the
takes.
next cut
See,
is
it
coming
has
back
that
out.
where it
So
is. That's a paddle.
in,
Like,
out,
and
in.
inside.
It also
is,
saves, I also like
plastic.
saves your edge
Rubber
for a
thing.
little bit longer.
Yeah. and you
Because
use
you're
both sides.
using both sides. Right, you're using
Well,
both
because
sides.
it's.
So you're saving your edge a little bit longer.
And then where does the dust go when you?
I mean,
Well,
in all honesty, I
before-
should have switched, when I
before-
switched sides,
Before,
but I turned it
this
around,
is
I
being
saw
on
this
top.
got bag.
it fall into the
It's
bag.
okay, it's wet elements. Didn't make that big of a difference.
So,
Well, I wanna know why it was, what's the horsepower on this light?
Oh, it's
1.5. But this one's always bogged down. I mean, my one weighs a 1.5 and I don't bog it down. But I've used this lathe and it's bogged it down.
I bought it for this.
I'm surprised that, I was shocked when I was talking
I
about
tried
it.
pushing it down.
Have I done something? So I started taking shallower cuts and it got better, but
I
I'm not
don't know
used
what the
to,
deal is.
when I have a 3 horsepower at home, so.
You're used to having.
You're used to having, I can hog out and it's gonna go.
that's what it used to look like.
Have a great day.
Yeah.
So what I did was, this
it has
is
a
what's up
22
on the
inch swing,
ceiling,
and I
that
got
goes
it for
down into the cycle,
$1,600.
I got rid of the whole
So
stand.
I was like, okay,
And then
I mean,
now
I
put it on the
want-
bottom.
well, let's put American Beauty aside. My dream
And that's a
lathe,
one-horse
my
motor
dream
on it.
lathe that I'm going to get hopefully sometime in the next 5 or 7 years is the 40-inch swing.
There you go. What do you plan to do?
So it wasn't,
I
it wasn't,
I have, for this tree, I have 2 pieces of crotch elm that will give me probably 30-inch bowls.
Wow.
And I have several pieces of walnut, which are in the 30-inch range as well.
Kinda like someone with ambition.
Is that grizzly, can you do off-board turning on that?
You can do it off the end. The problem is that the only people I
Yeah,
found
set
that
it up.
make a tool
Put
rest
it on there.
is Powermatic. And so I'm gonna have to manufacture my own.
And then you just, just
Or
that's the base that's
outboard.
mounted on the wall.
Okay,
Right?
use them, I know that you
On the wall.
okay, then I'll look at that.
You have to watch out for the power match. The top is built out of titanium.
And then this goes down the table saw. So I have two glass plates.
Break it.
So that
He's
goes-
gonna go to your lathe? It's a metal work.
None of it goes on.
None of it goes to the lathe?
Yeah, I don't mean to talk badly about it. Don't ever get the Nova S curve.
No, I got joiners, planers,
I bent that
sanders.
with
I got all.
a catch.
I got
I
all
sat there
stuff.
and I'm
Lathes
looking at
over
my-
here. I can
I
run
should
a
have sent it
tube
back.
over there.
I should have
And I
got
have,
other
I do have one setup for
There's
the
no
lathe
way.
that has a,
No way
Was it
that's
straight before and now it's
catcher, and that hooks
No,
into
it
my,
was, it was all
you know, I
on
have
one
a
plane,
tube
S,
saw.
and now it's like.
so it fits in there, and I could bring that there, so if I do some sanding, get out of there. But I'm not.
No, it was-
chips.
It was actually for the
Like
Tell
this.
Glenn, thanks.
Delta for a while.
Yeah, hold on, yeah, I just kinda,
And kicked them.
and right here, I got a big wood,
For that
pile of
lathe,
wood.
it was a 5/8 inch lathe.
and I
Or
pick it, and it all ends up over there. And then I just pull it
And
to-
I've never managed to find.
I don't worry about it. But they're not.
I have,
Yeah, they just.
I made a workbench.
But the reason why we do the other half is
Before I started running,
We're
and then
gonna
I
try
mounted
to
my
do
lathe on top of that.
On the
So
other
it's,
side of it, kind of angled.
I've been
pretty
there,
high.
yeah.
And so I stand on a
Put
little
it here,
thing, which gets me an
but put it
extra
here.
8
Yeah,
inches
so
of chips on the ground.
Right.
Yeah,
I
Do you
just
know
kinda-
this is not attached?
that's good. No, there's a scratch screw.
There's not one in there.
Yeah, there is.
I don't see it.
It's over here.
Where?
Put your glasses on.
Once you retire-
Where? Show me.
What are,
I'm
what
serious.
are we talking about?
This is, look, this here.
Let me see.
Grab that, hold
There's
that.
a grab screw in there.
There is not.
It's missing.
They went there with.
Is it black?
Maybe get you, one of you needs to get glasses on. Not sure who it is yet.
I see
Take
threads.
a picture and zoom in.
No, I got,
That's what he's gonna do.
I have,
Put it on the screen.
oh, there's one in there.
Is there?
Yeah, it's way down in there.
Oh, okay.
But it needs to be tightened.
I know it needs to be tightened, but there is one.
All right, can we all take our seats, please?
You just wanted.
Well, no, but you
You
see-
just wanted me to
See the
tighten.
threads?
Yeah.
Well, there's a second set of threads. Yeah, well, it needs to be tightened. I know, you can do what you want. If you don't want to tighten it, I don't care. I mean,
Robert, if there's one thing that gets Alvin irritated, he's talking smack about his equipment. You see how he got mad right away?
There's a set screw. There's no set screw there.
Oh, it's just way down there.
He's just pulling, hey, you're pulling my cord, aren't you? It worked.
Oh, look at that. That's
You
good.
see?
Yeah.
You.
Should I turn off the recording now or?
No, we want to do show and tell. We probably should, we probably should have, we probably should have.
That one's going viral.
Oh, shoot. Well, hopefully Jeff will edit it out. Maybe not.
At least they know we'll have some humor.
There you go. Mhm. Well, welcome back from break, folks. We want to let everybody know that the President's Challenge for next month is to do a natural edge bowl. So we've been shown how, so now we want to go back to our shops and try it and perfect it. It's been brought to my attention that there is a email list that we can get on for promotional flyers and emails from Performance Tool. So if you want to get on that email list, you need to go to Performance Line Tool Center, their website, and you can sign up to get on the email list.
One of the things that Jason has asked is he wants to know what sort of tools he'd like to carry here. We would like him to carry here for us. So I don't know how we would set that up, maybe start a list or something. But everybody keep that in mind, of what sorts of tools you would like him to carry that he doesn't.
So those of you in TV land, it was Jason, who is here at Performance Tool, wants to know what kind of turning tools or accessories you would like him to stock so that you can buy them here as opposed to somewhere else. So if you have thoughts or ideas, send me an email and we'll start compiling a list. All of you send me an email and I'll start compiling that list also. We want to now do a tool review or tips, techniques. Anybody have a tool or a tip that they want to share? Come on up and take the spotlight.
It's not much, but I know we all did, well, most of us did tea lights.
You don't have to flip it on.
Most of us did, some of us did tea lights. I was doing it with a Forstner bit, and the first Forstner bit was a little too small, and the next one was a little too large. So I got these Velcro dots so that your tea light doesn't fall out. Now, these particular ones came with, I don't know, orthotics to fasten to your sandals or something, kind of silly, but you can get them at Michael's.
Oh, good idea.
I was watching a video and I don't remember where it was, but this guy showed a great way. You know, if you've got a piece of firewood and you're trying to figure out, okay, where's the center on it? Which camera can we point to so that TV land can see?
You have to move towards the chart.
I'm looking at the monitor. So I've got my chuck here. So I place the chuck on the piece of wood. That looks good. So then you've got your 4 jaw points. So you position it. You make a line. And a felt tip would work a whole lot better than this pen. And you have to expend the pen first so it writes. But then you draw a line. Then you find the lines. And I keep, pen isn't the greatest thing to use on this, guys. Pencil works better. So then you find where your lines were. So now you come, you found your center. I thought that was a neat little trick. So at this point, we want to do show and tell. So anybody that has anything that they'd like to bring up, go get your stuff, come up here, and we'll take a look and see what you've made for us. Just go in front of the lathe, and you'll see yourself on the screen.
How you doing?
You're on this camera. You're on this camera right here. This is the camera that you're on.
Give it a minute. How you doing? Good afternoon. I got busy made some of these nut crushers. Made some of these nut crushers so that we could crush these nuts. They work pretty good, okay?
Yeah, I like that. Comes from too. How did you thread that?
Pardon me?
How did you make the thread?
I belonged to another club, you remember? And they had these tables like we had here, and I
Yes.
bought my raffle ticket, and this guy was getting rid of this thread machines.
Okay.
And so I got his thread machines. The hole is just put in there 1/8 of an inch less than
Yes.
this is 7/8, and I tap it. Okay. The threads themselves needs a router. I use a router tool,
Okay.
and you set that on that, and it's kind of hard to get the adjustment because I had
Yeah.
this, and so I went and cut up a milk carton and made a bunch of washers for the milk carton,
Yeah.
and would put in 2 or 3 of these milk carton washers and set it down,
Okay.
take one out or add one, and finally get the right depth so I was getting good threads.
Good.
I thought we'd do something different with the tea lights. And so we,
Put them up a bit.
huh? Okay, I get it. Well, let me get it okay. So we made the tea lights look a bit like this here,
Yeah.
okay?
That's nice.
Lower light, it's got 5 axes on the turning, and it's just a flat surface. We didn't want to round it out, okay? These 2 bowls are white oak, and we turned them white oak,
Yeah.
and it looks good. And then I got busy. I got my bucket here, and I got this cottage cheese cart, and we put ammonia in there, maybe about 1 inch thick, and set it down the bottom of the bucket. Put a little hardware cloth on top of that. Put a little hardware cloth on top of that. Put the bowls in here. Cover it up with a lid. Put it in the closet downstairs for a month or for a week. Brought it up, and you get darkened down. We had this reaction. It's called fuming. You look in your phone, and it will come up and it'll talk all about this fuming. It's been around hundreds of years. It's nothing new.
Yeah.
You get a nice, interesting situation that the grain rays, they kind of like stand out more. The darts run through here, kind of like stand out better.
That's beautiful.
And it's not so, doesn't work so good on red oak. It's the white oak it works the best on. I gotta try red oak sometime, but they say in the people,
Yeah.
it's not hard. It's a little hard finding ammonia this time of situation.
Yeah. Do you use a special ammonia? or
No, I just went on the internet, and we taught, one guy did an article between commercial ammonia and household ammonia, and he didn't see that much difference.
Oh,
And so he said, okay, it was a little bit deeper. Now I did this bowl, some of the grain raised.
Yeah.
And I put it on my vacuum chuck and sanded it off again, and I didn't discolor, it's still dark, okay?
Yeah.
In fact, it's sanding, it kind of like blends into the
Yeah.
lighter sapwood.
what
Moves
finish
over
you
some
put
of
on
the
that?
darker sawdust.
What finish did you put on it?
I put, this is walnut oil finish on this. We put walnuts, this is a salad bowl.
Yeah.
And it will be walnut oil finish, and we polished it with beeswax. Okay,
Nice job.
Can you show
Pardon
your
me?
tea light? Somebody on Zoom wants to see your tea light.
Who?
Your tea light?
Your
tea
tea
light.
light.
Can you hold it up a little closer to the camera, maybe? I'll put it on. That was hard to see.
the tea light was just lacquered.
Hold it to that camera right.
Okay, I'll get it up. I'll get a light inside. Oh, man, I lost the cross. It's okay. No, we find the camera. Okay, there we are.
There you go.
There you go.
That's okay.
Yes.
But,
You said 5 access?
Access.
yeah, 3 axes,
3.
3 axes. Yeah, just 3 axes. And we just, didn't try to, pardon me?
No, you're fine.
We're worried about.
Yeah, just flat, planes.
Yeah.
I probably leave the seam in there, so we had to break in the planes, okay?
Yeah, that's not bad.
And so it's something you can do, okay?
Thank you.
I like playing around with different things. It's all-
What was that?
You guys gotta try that fuming. It's not hard.
Good job, thank you.
Good, very good, thank you.
Hi, where?
There you go.
There's the bowl.
Picture, you put it right here. Move it down, move the camera, so. There you go.
Sorry to throw off the height issues here. I just haven't had a lot of luck actually finishing anything lately, so I figured since I had made this platter, go ahead and bring it in. It's an elm blank, walnut oil finish, and then the final finish is just Mylan's friction polish.
That's a nice job. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention on my tea light, I flamed it, with the torch. And I like it, but it's, you're flaming it and it's looking good and all of a sudden it's too much. And so it ended up kind of splotchy. So I spent 10 minutes flaming it and 2 hours sanding it. My, can you see it on the camera?
Yeah, the monitor, go ahead, the monitor. Right there.
So that's me.
That's you.
My daughter has a dog that's about 35 pounds and she's on her last legs. And I was gonna make an urn for her. And it came out, it was looking good. And then I didn't have a good enough tenon on the bottom. And so when I started in it with the Forstner bit, it skewed a little bit. So it ended up looking a little odd. But I have a plan. And that is, I saw somebody on this Thrifty Chicks website that had taken pine cones and sprayed them purple. And the particular kind of pine cones they had looked just like lilacs. So I'm gonna fill this up with pine cone lilacs and my daughter will not know the difference.
Looks like me. Never had too much affinity for pine, but the guy next door to me cut down 5 pine trees. So all of a sudden I was a big fan of pine because it was free. And so I did this bowl. It had virtually no sap in it, which was astounding to me because I'm assuming that it was because it was from the base of the tree, not from a limb and base of the tree. So no sap. And it didn't start, this was probably water that trapped, or it just started to.
It's usually that's discoloration from the water.
Yeah. So this was totally
That's
intentional.
nice. That's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like this one a lot. This is a 14-inch platter. And I put a taper on this side, and then it's tapered on this side. I don't know if you can see that. So I cut these. Number one, because I had a crack. So I cut out a handle here and a handle here. And when I started doing this, my intention was to keep the pith off center. So it added some visual interest to it. So when you're holding it like this, you know, it's off center. And thank you. And this is actually the cutoff. There was a 14-inch bowl, pine bowl that I made underneath this. And it was too tall. The blank was too tall. So cut that off. And here's the platter for it from it. And fun. The finish on this, they wanted, the customer wanted a matte finish. So this is armor seal satin. And there's about, I'm guessing about 8-9 coats on it now. And it's done. So.
When did you actually finish? With that brush or cloth?
Yeah, the first 2 or 3 coats, I cut 50-50. So I was going down into the wood, better saturation in there. And then, no, I wiped it on. Yeah, I just wiped it on. I found that armor seal, that's a really effective way for me, is to just take a small cloth, you know, terry cloth, t-shirt, whatever, and wipe it on. Come back in, you know, half an hour, and any excess and any pooling you want to get off. So both of these are that same finish.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Not romantic at all, but I'm gonna need to clip this because I'm gonna. This is gonna work. So this is a bourbon smoker.
Oh, look, wow.
I'm gonna put the glass over here, I'm gonna drop it. So what it is it's 2 pieces, a lid, and then the bottom part. And inside is like a little strainer insert. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. And so what you do is you put a piece of wood or tea or something you want to burn in there, and you light it on fire. You put the lid on, and you stick this on top of your bourbon that's in the glass, and it gives it a smoky flavor. There's some holes in the bottom that smoke comes out. This little thing is a stainless steel shower drain, like goes in your shower drain to catch all your wife's hair.
You're gonna have to grab some when you're done, put it on your eye. Get the screens at dollar store for $1.
Yeah.
You get a bigger screen and a smaller screen.
Yeah, I got this is the smallest one they had, and it works good for the size of glass.
Hold up to that camera.
So when you cover it, the smoke comes out from the bottom?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, when I've done it, I've had to do it a couple times. Like I would light it, cover it, and a little bit of smoke would come. And then if I want more, I light it again.
Okay.
Because it kind of just puts it out as soon as you put the lid on, and like
Yeah, you
just
don't
the
have
smoke.
oxygen going around.
Yeah,
I wonder if you could close up the top.
to keep it
You
going.
get that convection of oxygen going.
I think we need a workshop on that.
Maybe.
Bringing it up.
I plan on making some more just to try.
If you use butane quartz,
Yep, that's what I use. A butane
okay?
creme, like a creme brulee
And
torch.
you can actually put the sawdust below the screen on top, and shoot it with a butane torch over the glass, when it's on the glass. And the smoke will come, the torch will actually push the smoke into the glass.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I usually do it on the glass when I burn it. The one thing I would like is a finer screen. Occasionally you get little pieces of ash. And the other part that I'm gonna do next time is not put a hole right in the bottom, because anything that falls into the bottom falls through.
Well, you don't drink that cognac anyway. You're not gonna drink it, right?
Well, I mean, after I pour the Coke in with it, then it's.
That'd be 100% alcohol after you get to it.
Well, yeah. It does change the flavor of it.
It does,
Yeah.
I
Well, Irish restaurants, they smoke, what's the, what do they burn in Ireland? Is that? Peat. They don't smoke peat. Oh, great.
So I watched the Woodturners Worldwide Symposium, and one of the guys made one of these little mini helmets, and I thought, hey, that's pretty neat. So I took this piece of cherry, hollowed it out, and then used saws and Dremels and cut the holes and sanded it. So giving this to my daughter, who's a big Star Wars fan, she thinks it looks like one of those Mandalorian helmets. And then I tried this white oak. I got it all turned. I burnt it, and then I scraped off all the soot. Then I used some of the Hampshire Sheen electric purple on there. And then I had some gold paint that I dry brushed. And I've realized that I don't like dry brushing. I guess I'm too impatient or something, but it takes forever and it never comes out the way I want it to. And then I put a little doodad in the bottom just to add some interest to it. So let's do the, we didn't do our President's Challenge.
Yeah, I got a ticket.
Does everybody have a ticket? Okay,
Kathleen, you got one?
go ahead and pick one, Chuck.
Looks like another one. All right, so who's ready to, we have 808-099.
Okay, looks like John is going to get a gift certificate to Rockler. I have it over there in my bag. Make sure you pick it up before we leave today. So now we've had show and tell. Next month, our demo is going to be done by Paul Newberger. He's going to be showing us how to make music boxes. And the President's Challenge for next month is to make a natural edge bowl. You can do it twice turn, single turn, up to you. We just want to see the end results on the table when we come in next month. And is there anything else that I need to be brought up? So let's do the wood raffle. You can kill this recording and
Door prize, you can't do raffles.
oh, the door prize, excuse me.